Ever wondered why, in an age of unprecedented wealth and technological advancement, extreme poverty still exists? It's a question that baffles many, but the reality is that the world isn't as equal as it may seem. We live in a time where we've put rovers on Mars and AI technology is becoming part of our everyday lives. Yet, there are places on our very own planet where people struggle for basic necessities like food, clean water, and a safe place to live. It's a harsh contrast that illuminates a complex issue, the global poverty puzzle. Let's take a moment to understand what we mean by poverty. Poverty is not just about having less money, it's about not having the resources or opportunities to improve one's life. It's about lack of access to quality education, healthcare, and infrastructure. It's about living in constant fear of conflict and natural disasters. So, who are the poorest of the poor? According to recent statistics, the countries with the lowest GDP per capita and the highest poverty rates are South Sudan, Burundi, and the Central African Republic. These nations, despite their rich cultural heritage and natural resources, have been marred by years of conflict, political instability, and natural disasters. South Sudan, the world's newest country, has been embroiled in civil war for the majority of its existence. Burundi, despite its fertile lands, suffers from overpopulation and lack of infrastructure. The Central African Republic, blessed with diamonds and gold, is plagued by ongoing conflict and an unstable political climate. These nations are not poor because they lack resources. They are poor because the systems that should help them prosper are broken or non-existent. They are trapped in a cycle of poverty, where each day is a struggle for survival, and the future holds little promise of change. This isn't just about them, it's about us. It's about understanding our shared humanity and our collective responsibility to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. It's a stark paradox that demands our attention. Let's delve deeper into the realities of these countries. South Sudan, a young nation born out of conflict, stands as the world's poorest. This is a land where the echoes of struggle and strife pervade every aspect of life, a place where the specter of poverty looms large and unrelenting. South Sudan, a nation that only gained independence in 2011, has been embroiled in a ceaseless cycle of conflict and displacement. This has had profound effects on its economy, depriving it of stability and growth. The ongoing hostilities have not only disrupted trade and agriculture, but also driven away investors, thereby stifling economic development. Imagine a country where nearly 6 out of every 10 people live below the poverty line, where more than half the population is grappling with severe food insecurity. These are not just numbers on a page, but stark realities of life in South Sudan. The World Bank estimates that the country's gross domestic product per capita stands at a mere $300, making it the lowest in the world. This economic hardship is further compounded by a lack of infrastructure. Roads, schools, hospitals, the very foundations of a functioning society, are either non-existent or in a state of disrepair. This not only hinders economic activity, but also denies the people of South Sudan access to basic services and opportunities. The human cost of this economic turmoil is staggering. Thousands have been forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The United Nations Refugee Agency estimates that there are over 2 million South Sudanese refugees, making it one of the largest refugee crises in the world. The story of South Sudan is not just about numbers and statistics, it's about real people, their hopes and dreams stifled by a relentless cycle of conflict and poverty. It's about a nation's struggle for survival and a desperate cry for help. The story of South Sudan is a glaring example of how conflict can cripple a nation's economy. It's a testament to the fact that peace is not just a moral imperative, but an economic necessity. It's a stark reminder that without peace, there can be no prosperity. Moving east, we find Burundi, another African nation grappling with poverty. Burundi, a landlocked country in East Africa, is one of the poorest in the world. Its economy is predominantly agrarian, with more than 4/5 of the population reliant on agriculture for their livelihood. However, this reliance on farming presents its own set of challenges. The country's agricultural sector is susceptible to the vagaries of weather, with frequent droughts and floods wreaking havoc on crop yields, thereby threatening food security and livelihoods. Political instability has further exacerbated Burundi's economic woes. A long-standing history of political unrest and civil war has left the country in a vulnerable state, with a fragile economy and a weak infrastructure. The political turmoil has deterred potential investors, hampering economic development, and has also led to a significant portion of the population being displaced, creating a humanitarian crisis. To put things into perspective, let's take a look at some figures. According to the World Bank, in the year 2024, Burundi's gross domestic product per capita is one of the lowest globally, standing at less than $300. This figure is a stark reflection of the economic hardship that the people of Burundi face on a daily basis. The United Nations Human Development Index, which measures a country's average achievements in three basic aspects of human development, health, education, and income, ranks Burundi near the bottom, further underscoring the dire situation. The situation in Burundi is a poignant reminder of the complex interplay between political instability, economic development, and human welfare. It is a testament to how political unrest can cripple an economy, disrupt social services, and plunge a nation into poverty. In the face of these challenges, the people of Burundi continue to display remarkable resilience, striving for a better future. International aid and development programs are crucial in helping the country rebuild and progress. Burundi's struggles highlight the devastating impact of political instability on a country's economic growth. In the heart of Africa, we discover the Central African Republic, a country battling an often overlooked crisis. The Central African Republic, or CAR, is a landlocked nation, often overshadowed by its larger and more prosperous neighbors. Its economic performance has been severely hampered by a myriad of challenges, most notably infrastructural deficiencies. Imagine a country where only about 2/5 of the population has access to clean water. The rest of the population relies on rivers, lakes, and other unprotected sources. In terms of sanitation, the situation is even more dire. Less than 1 in 5 people have access to improved sanitation facilities, a statistic that has remained stubbornly stagnant for decades. The country's transportation infrastructure is just as worrying. Of the roughly 20,000 kilometers of roads, less than 2,000 kilometers are paved. This makes transportation challenging, especially during the rainy season when many roads become impassable. The energy sector is also in a precarious state. With less than 10% of the population having access to electricity, the Central African Republic has one of the lowest electrification rates in the world. The few who are connected to the grid face frequent power outages. Then there's the issue of communication. In a world where digital connectivity is increasingly becoming a necessity, only about 1 in 4 people in the car have access to the internet. The country's telecommunication infrastructure is largely undeveloped, leaving many people disconnected from the rest of the world. The repercussions of these infrastructural inadequacies are profound. They cripple economic activities, hinder access to basic services, and exacerbate poverty. Without reliable infrastructure, businesses struggle to operate efficiently, investors shy away, and the country's potential for economic growth is severely curtailed. It's clear that the Central African Republic's economic stagnation is inextricably linked to its infrastructural challenges. Investing in infrastructure could unlock the country's economic potential, improve living standards, and lift many out of poverty. The Central African Republic's plight underscores the critical role infrastructure plays in a nation's economic development. Now that we've painted a picture of the world's poorest nations, what can we do about it? The journey to eradicate global poverty is a complex one, fraught with challenges. But it's not insurmountable. With concerted efforts, strategic planning, and the will to make a difference, we can pave the way forward. Firstly, conflict resolution is paramount. Peace and stability are the bedrock upon which thriving societies are built. In nations like South Sudan and the Central African Republic, resolving ongoing conflicts is a critical first step. This often involves diplomatic intervention, negotiations, and peacekeeping missions. Secondly, disaster resilience must be improved. Countries like Burundi, frequently ravaged by natural disasters, need to build their capacity to withstand these calamities. This involves investing in infrastructure, early warning systems, and educating communities on disaster preparedness. Thirdly, infrastructure development is key. Access to basic amenities like clean water, electricity, and healthcare can drastically improve living conditions. Building roads can open up remote areas, fostering trade and commerce, and providing new opportunities. Education also plays a significant role. An educated populace is more likely to break free from the cycle of poverty. By focusing on literacy and vocational training, we can equip individuals with the skills needed to secure gainful employment. Economic reforms can stimulate growth too. Policies aimed at encouraging entrepreneurship and foreign investment can create jobs, boost income levels, and diversify economies. But the responsibility doesn't lie solely with governments and NGOs. As global citizens, we too have a role to play. We can contribute by advocating for change, supporting charitable organizations, or even volunteering our time and skills. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to poverty. Different countries have different needs, and solutions must be tailored accordingly. But with a multi-pronged approach, we can make a significant difference. Remember, every effort counts. Whether it's donating a few dollars to a charity, volunteering in a community project, or simply spreading awareness about the issue, your contribution matters. The fight against global poverty is a collective responsibility. Every effort counts toward making our world a more equitable place.